Hello everyone, today I have a comic strip for you, as you can see here, and this comic strip is called Desperate Dan. A comic strip is just a short comic story. Now this is a really famous British comic strip that has been going for years, and in this video I'm going to read the dialogue and explain all the words and expressions used in the comic strip. This is a perfect source of comprehensible input for you if you want to learn using comprehensible input, which means listening to things in English that you understand. Then this is a good way to do it. And this is the best way to learn any language. All you need to do is just listen and understand. And the more you do that, the more you'll be able to use English fluently. Now remember, you do have the option below in YouTube to speed up this video or to slow it down. So if I'm talking too slowly, you can speed me up. Or if I'm talking too fast, you can slow me down. Okay, always good to remember that. Now, let's get started. The title of this comic strip is Desperate Dan. And you can see in the first picture, there is a big pie, a traditional type of English food, even though this is actually set in America. It's set in America in the Wild West. The Wild West with the cowboys and horses, the Wild West. Now, in this picture, on top of the pie, we can see pastry, and we can see there are little holes in the pastry and some air is escaping from the pastry. Little clouds of steam. Now if I make a cup of tea, this is an empty cup, but if I have a cup of hot tea, then there will be steam coming off the top of the cup. And it's always annoying for people who wear glasses because your glasses steam up and you can't see anything. Now this pie is steaming because it's very hot. However, these are also the kinds of drawings that you see in a comic book when people are fighting. So I think these also relate to the character Desperate Dan. So Desperate Dan is the kind of person who maybe gets in a lot of fights. Also notice these horns. That's pretty strange. I've definitely never seen a pie with horns. But again, I think this relates to his character in some way. Maybe you can let me know in the comments below how you think the horns connect to his character or connect to the comic strip, Desperate Dan. Now, in the first picture here, we can see an old lady with a giant wooden spoon stirring a cow pie mix. Now, cow pie could be two things. It could be a pie for cows, for the cows to eat, or it could be a pie made of cow, in which case it's beef, and we would probably say a beef pie mix. So it's a little strange, but I think it's just more funny or anything. It's more funny, really, a cow pie mix than a beef pie mix. And a mix just means the mixture. All the things that you put under the pastry are the mix. So the vegetables, the meat, the herbs, the spices, when you mix them together, you have a mix for the pie, a cow pie mix or a beef mix. And on top of that, you can put the pastry, which you can see here in the picture. So she's stirring this cow pie mix, and next to that, we can see a big sack of onion flour and a sack of grit. Grit, when we're talking about food, usually means grains, like when you make porridge, that's a type of grain. So grit usually means a type of grain, but it's not specific. It could be any type of grain, and it's usually very roughly chopped. Not finely, but very, very roughly chopped. So it's kind of a low quality grain that you can add to food. grit. And the old lady says, Dan will get a real kick out of my latest cow pie recipe. Or maybe in an old lady voice, Dan will get a real kick out of my latest cow pie recipe. So, to get a kick out of something means to really, it usually means to really find something funny or to really enjoy something. You get a real strong positive emotion, but usually enjoyment or laughter. It makes you laugh or you find it very funny. In this case, I don't think Dan's going to find the pie funny. So in this case, I think the old lady means that he's going to really enjoy it. He's going to get a kick out of it. He's going to really enjoy this pie. Now, in the next picture, we can see 3 cowboys. The first, very fat cowboy wearing a red checked shirt. Checked is when a shirt has stripes, but it could be any type of clothing. So you could have a checked t-shirt, a checked hat. You could have a checked blanket, which you use in the winter time when you sit on the sofa and you're cold. You put a blanket over you. So you could have a checked blanket or any other kind of checked thing. You could have a checked lampshade. But checked just means that there are squares, not just stripes, but squares. So he has a red checked shirt. He has a black waistcoat, and a blue scarf. And he also has 2 pistols in his holsters. Holster is where you can put your gun. It's a little pouch to put a gun in, holster. So he has these 2 holsters on his sides, and he's wearing blue jeans, and a belt. And in his hand, he is holding a big tin, or in American English, can. But for us, when we have food in it in the UK, we usually call it a tin. A big tin of chili peppers. And it says, Aztec explosive chili peppers. So these chili peppers are going to be crazy hot, insanely hot. And he's looking through the window at that big cow pie mix. So he has some kind of plan. He says, ha ha, that'll go double when I add a special ingredient. Okay, that's me doing an American accent. Ha ha, that'll go double when I add a special ingredient. So, what's he saying? That'll go double. He's talking about what the lady said. She said, Dan will get a real kick out of my latest recipe. So he's saying that he will get a real kick, double the kick, when he has added all of these explosive chili peppers. And we do use that in English to get a kick out of something. Also can be when something is very spicy. When food is very spicy, you can say, oh, that has a kick. Has a real kick. When it has a really strong flavour, or usually spice. If you say something has a kick. So it's definitely going to have a really big kick after he puts these chilies in it. And you can see his 2 accomplices. Accomplices are people who work with someone to do something bad or to do something illegal. Here, these are his accomplices. They are helping him to do this bad thing. Now, in the next picture here, we can see the man leans into the window, turns the tin upside down and empties the entire tin into the cow pie mix, and all of the peppers fall out into the cow pie mix. And he says, heh heh heh. And the two accomplices are standing either side of him watching. And you can already see little explosive, little drawings of like little explosions, like this pepper mix is going to be insanely hot, crazy hot. And the old lady has her back turned so she doesn't see them. She's turned away and she's holding a big bag of salt. Now, in the next picture, below here, we can see one of the accomplices says, "Here comes Dan, Pa. Here comes Dan, Pa." And the other man says, "Good. Let's leave him to his cow pie. Good. Let's leave him to his cow pie." So here comes Dan. So he's warning this guy that Dan, this is desperate Dan, is arriving. He is coming. And this guy says, "Okay, let's leave him to his pie. So we're going to leave and he can have his pie." And he says Pa. Now, I don't know why he says Pa, because Pa, spelt P-A, usually means father, dad, papa. But this guy looks too old to be his son. So maybe his name is Paw, Pa. I don't know exactly. And we can see Dan behind, who is whistling, walking down the street. And Dan is a big guy. You can see his stomach is massive and round, and he has tiny legs which support his massive upper body. So here comes Dan. Desperate Dan arrives at the old lady's house. He's sitting down and he's starting to eat the cow pie. And you can even see the tail of the cow still remains in the pie, which is a nice little touch. A nice little touch. A nice little touch means like a nice little effect that the designer of the comic strip, the artist, drew in the tail of the cow still coming out of the pie. Is quite a nice little touch, a nice little effect, a nice little idea there. And Dan says, "This cow pie is mighty fine, Aunt Aggie." So this cow pie is really delicious. Mighty fine, Aunt Aggie. So this is his aunt. And you can see that he has a knife here in his right hand, a fork in his left, with a large piece that he is about to eat. And he's already chewing some of the pie, and little bits of pie juice are coming out of his mouth while he talks. And Aunt Aggie says, "It's a new recipe." So it's a new recipe that she's made, and it looks like she's taken a little plate of it too. In the next one, "It's really lit a fire in my belly." And you can see desperate Dan looks like he is sweating, his face is red, his eyes are going cross-eyed, and there's spit coming out of his mouth. Spit coming out of his mouth. He cannot control this. He has this crazy intense reaction to this pie because of all these chili peppers that are inside of it. And even his hat is flying off of his head because of the heat. And Aunt Aggie says, "How about some water, Dan?" And she's arriving with a glass of water for him. She's probably thinking, I didn't realize I put so much chili in that. And we've got the phrase here, to light a fire in your belly. If something lights a fire in your belly, it gives you a lot of passion. A lot of passion. So something that lights a fire in your belly could be a speech when a president or the head of an association or a group gives a really powerful speech. Then maybe it makes you feel so passionate and excited, and it lights a fire in your belly. Now in this case, it's more literal. It has lit a fire in his belly because it's so spicy. So it's like there is a fire inside his belly. And his belly is his stomach. So belly is a more informal way to talk about a stomach, especially when it's big. It's not a polite, it's not rude, but you wouldn't say to someone, you wouldn't call someone else's stomach their belly, because it seems like it's big if it's a belly. You could say about your own stomach, but you probably wouldn't say it about someone else's, because it usually means a big stomach, a belly. And here is Dan throwing the water at his face, because his head is probably burning, his tongue is burning. He's desperate to drink some water and to reduce this hot, chilly taste that is burning the inside of his mouth and the inside of his body. So he doesn't even manage to get the water into his mouth. He just throws it at his face because he is desperate. He's called Desperate Dan, but right now, he is desperate for water. He would do anything for water. And we can see splosh, splosh, as the water splashes against his face. Nope, more, need more. Nope, need more. So he needs more water in this situation. That is not enough. And he drops his knife in shock and in panic, trying to drink more water. And he runs outside and he says, out of my way, Huss. And he's pushing, he can't even get the word horse out of his mouth. He can't even get it out of his mouth. And he pushes the horses to the side, and here you can see the trough. This GH in this word has a F sound. The horse trough full of water, and he dives into it. He puts his head straight into the trough of water to try and cool himself down. And we can see sploosh as the water goes everywhere, and glug, glug. And this is a sound that we make when we drink a lot of water. Glug, 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 glug. So he is trying to drink very quickly, lots and lots of water, to reduce the effect of the chilies. What's the matter, Dan? Feeling a little hot under the collar? Aunt Aggie made a spicy cow pie. I need more water. So here is the cowboy and his accomplices laughing at Desperate Dan, who is really desperate for water and in a terrible situation after eating his pie. And the man in the red checked shirt is dancing. He's almost dancing because he's so excited and he's having so much fun at the fact that Dan is suffering. And here we've got an expression, to feel hot under the collar. Here is your collar. So this is a t-shirt, it doesn't really have a collar. If I'm wearing a shirt, it will have a collar, which I could put up or I can have down. Or if I have a coat, my coat will probably have a collar. Now, if you feel hot under the collar, we usually use that if you're a bit angry or if you're embarrassed as well, we can use it. Now, in this situation, Dan is not embarrassed and he's probably not angry at the moment because he doesn't know that these guys put the chilies in his pie. But this man is using this expression because, of course, he is feeling literally hot. Not just under the collar, but his whole body. And in the next picture, he says, "This is the dry season, you big lunk. Can you wait until autumn? Can you wait till the autumn?" And the three of them are having a great laugh. They are in fits of laughter, we can say. They're in fits of laughter. When you are laughing and laughing and laughing, you can't stop. They're in fits of laughter. And he is obviously feeling very proud of himself for orchestrating this whole thing, for planning this whole situation. It's the dry season, you big lunk. Yeah is like a more kind of American slang way to say you. Yeah. And a lunk is a kind of stupid person or big, big, maybe fat, sort of stupid. It's just a general offensive term. Not very, very offensive, but it's some kind of general offensive term you can use, which means an idiot or a stupid, and often has the sense of being big and fat as well. An American term, this is. A big lunk. Can you wait till the autumn? And you can see here, he's put his hands in his ears, and he says, keep your distance, he's gonna blow! And Desperate Dan here, his whole body seems to be expanding like a balloon. And you can see air is starting to escape from him. And all of this water that's dripping from his nose, from his mouth, the sweat from his head is flying all around him. And then we see, and this flame comes out of his mouth, touching the cowboys, almost touching these two, and just touching this one on his shirt. And roar, just like the sound that a lion or a tiger would make. Whew, that's better. And he's wafting his hat to cool himself down, wafting it. And look at the results. Look at the consequences. These 3 cowboys are burnt. They're burnt. They've been burnt by the flame that Desperate Dan burped from his mouth. And you can see lots of black smoke rising from their heads, from their bodies. All their bodies are black and dirty. And even the man's shirt has a hole in it and is not in very good condition now because it's actually been burnt a little bit. Unless it was like that before, it's possible. It was like that before. He didn't have very good clothes. So, but you can see he's very dirty and their hats are steaming now. Pa, Dan didn't get blown to smithereens. So to get blown to smithereens means to be blown up. To be blown up. To smithereens means to lots and lots of tiny little pieces. So if something's blown to smithereens, which is such a great word, smithereens, just means tiny, lots and lots of tiny little pieces. And we only ever use it, I think, in that expression, to be blown to smithereens. Something was blown to smithereens. So the building was blown to smithereens, okay? The house was blown to smithereens. Whatever it is, something is blown to smithereens. And he is obviously not content because the plan didn't work. The plan to blow Desperate Dan to smithereens did not work. And you can see the main cowboy in the red checked shirt looks pretty angry about it too. And the next picture, good job, I've got a strong stomach. Oh. Good job, I've got a strong stomach. Good job, I've got a strong stomach. So here, good job, I've got a strong stomach means that's lucky that. It's lucky that I have a strong stomach. It's lucky that I have a strong stomach. You can say good job, to say that it is lucky that. Good job, I spoke to you about that problem. Good job, I spoke to you about that problem. Now it's fixed. Or good job, I applied for the job in time. It's a good job I applied for the job in time. Otherwise, I wouldn't have got it. Right? So it's a good job that is a way to say it's lucky that, or it's a good thing that I did this. And you can see here he is patting his stomach, patting his belly. And the 3 men look a little worse for wear. They look worse for wear. They look in really bad condition. the dirt on their faces, the smoke coming from their heads, they're worse for wear. Worse for wear. And this cowboy says, "Be quiet, you let's go to the first one. This one says, "I don't think those explosive chili peppers worked, Pa." And the other cowboy says, "Be quiet, you dunderhead." Why? Because he has just revealed to Desperate Dan that they put the explosive chilies in the pie. And so this man calls him a dunderhead. A dunderhead is another way to say that someone is stupid. It's like a lunk that we had on the last page, a lunk, but a dunderhead is a little more sort of silly. It's a sort of silly expression, so it's quite amusing to call someone a dunderhead. It's a bit of an old-fashioned expression to say that someone's stupid. Dunderhead. So what's going on? So what's been going on? So what's been going on? So what's been going on? And we can see here we got bin, B-I-N, because that's really the way that we say it. Of course, we do not write it like that, but that's really the way we often say it. We say, what's been going on? What's been going on? Instead of what's been going on. That's also possible, but often people will shorten it, the sound, from a long E to an I. What's been going on? "Give me these!" And he grabs the hats off these two cowboys who look very surprised about the situation. Oh, and this man too. He seems to have 3 hats in his hand. Yeah, exactly. And we've got this word, swipe. Swipe. And when you swipe something, you take it really quickly. Usually when you steal it, you swipe it. Now, in this picture, Desperate Dan burps again, and all these flames come out of his mouth, and he burns their hats in front of them. And they all look pretty shocked about the situation. He looks mad, he looks very surprised, and he also looks surprised. He's like pointing to it and looking at his boss. I think this might be his boss. And he's saying, "Look what he's doing. Look what he's doing to our hats. That ought to do it." And he slams these burning hats onto their heads. And in the next picture, "Let's get out of here. Well, help." And they're all running away with these burning hats on top of their head, with the flames flying behind them. And Desperate Dan now looks quite content. He looks quite happy about the situation. And he looks amused. He's getting a kick. He's getting a kick out of this. He's getting a kick out of this. And here again is the old lady. And she says, "I've got just the thing for that chilly breath of yours, Dan." And she's carrying a massive sack of marshmallows. Of course, this is an American style scene and setting. So marshmallows are, again, an American type of food and perfect for this comic. And Desperate Dan says, "Marshmallows, marshmallows, marshmallows." I don't know why. Maybe he's just thinking, why? Why marshmallows? To get rid of my fire breath. I don't know. Why marshmallows? And we can see the 2 little question marks above his head. And still, there seems to be a little bit of smoke coming out of his mouth from those chilies that he ate. "I do love a toasted marshmallow." And here she has pierced the marshmallows, and she's put them on a long stick, and Desperate Dan burps again, and these flames come out of his mouth, and he toasts the marshmallows. So I think now he's realised the logic of the situation, that if you have marshmallows, you can toast them, and he is in this situation, he has fire breath, which is perfect for toasting marshmallows. And we can see the words toast and also the word slobber, slobber. When you slobber, that is a word, and there's another word for this, which is dribble, dribble. And this dog in the picture is slobbering. So his saliva is coming out of his mouth because the dog is so excited to eat some marshmallows, I think. So he's slobbering. There's saliva coming out of his mouth. He's dribbling and slobbering. And you can see thud, thud, as he hits his tail on the ground. And Desperate Dan says, "Save some for me." I think I've changed his voice again. "Save some for me, save some for me." After he has toasted the marshmallows, he wants to eat some of them, and he is saying, "Old lady or grandma," or his aunt, Aunt Aggie, "don't eat all of those marshmallows. Don't have them all to yourself." So that is the end of this comic strip. Let me ask you a couple questions about this. So let me think. Okay, so question number 1 is, why does the cowboy put his fingers in his ears like this? What's the reason he puts his fingers in his ears? So you can pause the video if you want and just give me the answer. Okay, so you could say he put his fingers in his ears because he believes that Desperate Dan is about to blow up. He's about to blow into smithereens, and it's going to be a very loud noise. So he puts his fingers in his ears to protect his ears. One other question for you. One other question for you is, when Desperate Dan thinks that a glass of water is not enough, or when Desperate Dan decides a glass of water is not enough and he needs more, where does he go and what does he do? So you can pause it again to answer. So when he decides that one glass of water is not enough and he needs more, he runs to the horse trough and dives into it and drinks from the horse trough. Okay, now, before you leave, it really helps the algorithm and it helps my channel if you can just like this video and also leave a comment. Now, if you're not sure what to leave as a comment, leave one of the new words that you learned today or the new expressions. How about to be blown into smithereens, when something blows up into many, many pieces? So you can write in the comments below, to be blown into smithereens, to be blown into smithereens. You can see the text here. Okay, thank you so much, and it was lovely to see you again. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.